Section 9. At that time, Mahamati Bodhisattva said, "May the Bhagavan teach us about the characteristics of the mind, the will, and conceptual consciousness, the 5 dharmas, and the modes of reality cultivated by Buddhas and Bodhisattvas that differ from the external realms perceived by our mind. And may the Tathagata reveal all the teachings marked by suchness that comprise the heart of the words of every Buddha. And may he explain for the great Bodhisattvas gathered here on Mount Malaya in the island kingdom of Lanka the ocean and waves of prepository consciousness and the realm of the Dharma body, praised by all Tathagatas." The Bhagavat then told Mahamati, "There are 4 causes that result in the functioning of visual consciousness. And what are the 4? They are a lack of awareness that what is grasped is a perception of one's own mind, attachment to the habit energy of erroneous fabrications of the beginningless past, the existence of consciousness, and the desire to see a multiplicity of forms. Mahamati, these are the 4 causes that give rise to the waves of consciousness in the ever-rolling sea of repository consciousness. Mahamati, as with its visual form, consciousness arises together with the minutest sensory objects and sensory material of the various sense organs, and with it arise external realms as well, like so many images in a clear mirror, or like the ocean when a strong wind blows. And as the wind of externality stirs the sea of the mind, its waves of consciousness never cease. Whether there is any difference or not among the characteristics of causes and effects is due to a deep attachment to what arises from karma. Because people cannot understand the nature of such things as form, the 5 kinds of sensory consciousness function. And due to the differentiation of appearances, Mahamati, you should know that these 5 kinds of sensory consciousness serve as the cause of conceptual consciousness. But as they function, they do not think that they are the cause of changes in appearances, which change as a result of attachment to projections that are perceptions of one's own mind. And as every appearance changes and disappears, the different realms that are distinguished themselves change. Those practitioners who enter dhyana or samadhi, but who remain unaware of the changes of the subtler forms of habit energy, think they enter dhyana or samadhi only after consciousness ceases. But in fact, their consciousness does not cease when they enter samadhi. It doesn't cease because the seeds of habit energy are not destroyed. It ceases when they no longer grasp changes among objective realms. Mahamati, except for Tathagatas and those well along the Bodhisattva path, the full extent of the subtlety of the repository consciousness remains completely beyond the ken of Shravakas, Pratyeka Buddhas, and practitioners of other paths, despite their powers of meditation and wisdom. Likewise, how to distinguish the characteristics of the remaining stages, or the meaning of words about wisdom and skillful means, or how to bring to maturity the limitless good roots planted by Buddhas, or how to get free from the projections and fabrications that are perceptions of their own minds. Mahamati, those who dwell among the mountains and forests, regardless of whether they cultivate lesser, normal, or greater practices, if they are able to see how projections flow from their own minds, they will have their foreheads anointed by Buddhas from countless lands. And as they attain masteries, psychic faculties, higher powers, and samadhis, they will be surrounded by bodhisattvas and spiritual friends. And because of this, they will transcend the sea of birth and death, karma, desire, and ignorance, and the mistaken conceptions concerning the realms of self-existence of the mind, the will, and conceptual consciousness that are perceptions of their own minds. This is why Mahamati practitioners should draw near to Buddhas and spiritual friends. The Bhagavan then repeated the meaning of this in verse.
Just like waves in a boundless sea, blown by a powerful wind, breakers in a black expanse, they never for a moment cease. in the ocean of alaya, stirred by the wind of externality, wave after wave of consciousness breaks and swells again. Blue and red and every colour, milk and sugar and conch shells, fragrances and fruits and flowers, the sun and moon and light. Like the ocean and its waves are neither separate nor not separate, 7 forms of consciousness rise together with the mind. Like the ever-changing sea gives rise to different waves, repository consciousness gives rise to different forms. Mind, will, and consciousness, these refer to different forms, but forms devoid of differences, no seer or thing seen. As the ocean and its waves cannot be divided, the mind and the forms of consciousness cannot be separated. The mind is what gathers karma. The will considers what is gathered. The forms of consciousness are conscious of 5 apparent worlds.
Mahamati Bodhisattva then asked in verse,
When colours such as blue and red appear in someone's consciousness, and every thought is like a wave, what does all this mean?
The Bhagavat then replied in verse,
Blue and red and other colours can't be found in any wave. We say the mind gathers karma to awaken foolish beings. But karma isn't real, thus to make their minds let go what grasps and what is grasped, I liken it to waves. Their body, possessions, and the world, this is what they're conscious of. This is how their karma appears, just like surging waves.
Mahamati then asked in verse,
The ocean and its waves exist. We can see them dance. Why then are we not aware of alaya consciousness and karma?
To which the Buddha then replied in verse,
For fools bereft of wisdom, alaya is likened to an ocean, and karma to its waves. Through simile they understand.
Mahamati Bodhisattva then asked in verse,
Sunlight shines the same on beings of all classes, since Tathagatas light the world to teach the truth to fools. Versed in every kind of teaching, why don't they teach the truth?
To which the Buddha then replied in verse,
If they taught the truth, in beings' minds would be no truth. Like the ocean and its waves, a dream or image in a mirror, both appear together, as do the mind and objective realms. But objective realms are never perfect, and karma keeps arising. While consciousness is conscious, likewise the will just wills. And fivefold are appearances, except in meditation, as a master artist works, and the master's students. Drawing forms and spreading colours, I too teach like this. The colours don't contain a pattern, nor do the brush or pristine surface. To please the host of beings, they render figures with their art, but teachings are unfaithful, for truth isn't in the words. I make distinctions for beginners, for practitioners I teach the truth they realize themselves, free from knowing and the known. This I teach to bodhisattvas, a broader view to fools, all manner of illusions, but nothing I reveal is real. Thus my teachings are diverse, tailored to the situation. If a teaching doesn't fit, then it isn't taught. Because each patient differs, good physicians adjust their cures. Buddhas thus teach beings according to their capacities. A realm without projections, unknown to Shravakas. This is what the compassionate teach, the realm of inner realization.